You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Well, if you follow the show for any length of time, you know that one of my prime targets here is the drug rehab industry, the kinder, gentler drug war that's proposed by some to channel non-violent, non-troublesome, productive marijuana smokers into rehab facilities to continue the flow of easy money to these largely group of charlatans. And there's a report out now that kind of vindicates a lot of what I've been saying. This comes out of CNN and the Center for Investigative Reporting, where they found massive fraud in the California drug rehab system. In one example, they talk about how there's a rehab center called the Able Family Support. And this is set up next to a smoke shop in the San Fernando Valley. And they parked some of their cars, some of their news vans, secretly outside and filmed people going in and out to this drug rehab. And they found about 30 people went in and out to the drug rehab on this particular day. But when they submitted their bill to Los Angeles County for reimbursement, it wasn't for 30, it was for 179 people. And the government paid it. Los Angeles County paid $6,400 for the Able Family Support Clinic for the people that it claimed it saw on April 4th. Now, the reason this is happening has to do with the way California law has been decided. There is a fund there called Drug Medi-Cal, and there have been court decisions that have said that people with addiction can get rehab, which is a good thing in general. But Drug Medi-Cal paid out over $94 million over the past 2 fiscal years to 56 clinics in just Southern California that have shown signs of deception or questionable billing practices. And that's half of all the public funding. So half of all the public funding has gone to 56 clinics with questionable or deceptive billing practices. And over the past 6 years, $500 million has gone into this Drug Medi-Cal program. Now, the way they do this, they use coercion, they use forgery, they use all sorts of ways to defraud this taxpayer-funded program. They found people that were ineligible to run these programs and making a mint off of these programs. First of all, felons are supposed to be blocked from running any of these drug rehab clinics. Well, this one particular felon entered the rehab racket 2 years after leaving a Texas prison, where he was serving time for orchestrating an organized crime scam. Over the course of a decade, he built his clinic into a $2 million a year operation, all from taxpayer money. And understand, we are talking about the publicly funded rehabs here. So in a lot of cases, we are talking the people who've been caught for marijuana and sentenced by a drug court to attend one of these rehabs. So you get them on one side, you get the easy money being flowing into these rehabs because of our prohibition, followed up with these rehabs scamming even more money through fraud and deception. They're supposed to be ineligible to run these rehabs if they're on or to get reimbursement on these rehabs if they're on the Medicaid blacklist. Now, it's a federal blacklist where people that have been convicted or convicted of defrauding Medicaid can no longer access that program from the clinic level. But this one George Ilunio did so repeatedly. He was convicted of defrauding the student loan program, and he was barred from collecting a single dollar of Medicaid. So the federal government barring this guy from any Medicaid reimbursements, but still the state and county paid him more than $1 million. So we've got the state of California here unable to even keep up with the Medicaid blacklist. And then according to interviews done with former state officials, the department has fielded concerns about rehab clinic fraud for at least 5 years, but has done nothing to combat it. part of the problem is, as happens in California, it seems in too many stories, there's some discussion, there's some debate over whose job it really is to have oversight over these clinics. Part of the policing of drug Medi-Cal is done by the state. The state has to certify the drug rehab clinics, but the counties are the ones that handle the money and reimburse the drug rehab clinics. And both the county and the state are auditing the clinics every year. So this new Able Family Support, this one came around in 2003, and Karen Morrison was the woman who was in charge of the state certifying this clinic. She scrutinized their meeting schedule and checked out their resumes, but seemed to have no clue about the criminal record of the man who greeted her. Didn't realize that the man had a felony history. But he was on parole at the time. He had served 1 year of a 7-year sentence for that organized crime that we had mentioned earlier. In Texas, when they had prosecuted this guy, he was a guy that was robbing auto insurance. He was defrauding auto insurance. It was basically, he'd have a team that would stage crashes and recruit actual crash victims in the court proceedings and on the forums and such, and generated fake medical and legal bills that the insurance industry would then reimburse. One man describes him as a man who paid off operatives from a briefcase full of cash. But when they were having him fill out these initial forms in 2003, the form only asked about fraud against the government. Have you been convicted of any fraud against the government? And he could honestly say no, because he was convicted of fraud against the private auto insurance industry. And then in 2011, he was asked in a disclosure form whether he'd been convicted in the last 10 years. Well, by then, it'd been 10 years later than he'd been convicted of that fraud, so he could honestly say no. Now, in their 2004 budget, they used some funds, $10,000 for gifts and travel, $605 at a Palm Springs resort, $586 for a crab feast, $108 for flowers, and a Betty Boop souvenir. And, of course, the guy that runs the clinic said it was business purchases for promotion and outreach for the clinic. $2,000 a month for car expenses for the guy and his co-founder. And let's see, the state auditors asked Los Angeles County to repay the state $68,000 that was provided to the Able family. So now the state's going after the county in these situations. And we're just seeing more and more of this. After one of these clinics, GB Medical, gave them a $90,000 raise, even after there had been complaints and questions about its fraudulent billing, raised their budget $90,000. These are the kind of things going on that show how much of this rehab is false, fake, and fraudulent. And the laws, especially in California, that mandate for drug treatment, but then have such lax oversight over how that treatment is being administered, are just for painting another black eye on something that's already a pretty shady thing as it is. That's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us here from Rolla J Studios in beautiful Potland, Oregon. I'm Radical Russ Belville. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down.